And welcome to episode 10 of the Arsenal Championship Manager 0102 Challenge. We're about to we've already stepped into the 1994-95 season. As you saw in the last episode, fantastic start to the Premier League season with 2 wins on the trot over West Ham and Chelsea away, 2 London Derby victories, and also victory in the third qualifying round of the Champions League, which means we now go into the Champions League group stage for the first time in Arsenal's history. So let's see how this episode goes, and starting off with a huge match, Premier League match at home to Manchester United, their first home game of the season. Let's see how it all goes. A bit of news ahead of that match during the international break. Alan Smith signing a new 1-year deal that will keep him at Highbury until the summer of 1996. His contract was due to run out at the end of this season. He had some good games from the bench last season, especially in Europe, popping up with some important goals. And he's seen as a really steady backup to Les Ferdinand and Ian Wright. He's at the stage of his career at 31, 32 years of age where he's happy to play a bit part role. So we're really happy to get the deal over the line. It took a few weeks of negotiating to get it sorted, but Alan Smith signs a new 1-year deal to stay at Highbury. We also wanted to spend a little bit of time looking at the lineup this season. I know we missed this out in the last episode. Some signings made over the summer. And the team's looking really strong now. We've got David Seaman in goal, Nigel Winterburn, Tony Adams, Martin Keown and Lee Dixon, that famous back four. We've got Paul Merson, who's now playing on the right side of midfield. Ray Parlour, who had a fantastic season last season, is a main defensive midfielder now. Zavarov as the attacking midfielder, who has had a massive impact since he came to the club last summer. And Matthew Le Tissier, who's just joined their big summer signing. He's going to be playing from the left-hand side. So the 2 signings of Matthew Le Tissier and Nigel Clough have given us some real the ability to mix it up in midfield. A lot of players can play in different positions, but this is how we've started the season, with Matthew Le Tissier coming in from the left-hand side and playing in that pocket behind Ian Wright and Les Ferdinand. Squad's definitely stronger this season than it was last season. I think we've done some really good summer business, and this is probably our strongest 11 that we can pick at the moment. And these are the 11 who will face Manchester United at Highbury in our first home game of the season. And what a cracking game this always is between 2 giants of the English game. And what a result it was. As always, a hard-fought game against Manchester United. But Arsenal will continue their 100% record, 3 wins out of 3 for the start of the Premier League season. Our first home game of the season as well. And who better to pop up with a winning goal than Ian Wright. And what a goal it was. Ian Wright from close range, 1-0 to the Arsenal. So fantastic to see Ian Wright getting on the score sheet early. 3 wins out of 3, as you can see there. So it's been the perfect start to the Premier League season so far, and confidence coursing through the veins of the Arsenal players at the moment. And next up, just a few days later, the first ever Champions League game at Highbury. As you can see, Highbury quite beautiful under the floodlights, as Arsenal invite Galatasaray to London for their first ever Champions League match. Let's see how the Gunners get on. And a few changes to the team as we rotate. Matthew Le Tissier was signed before we could put him into the Champions League squad, so he'll be ineligible for these matches. So Anders Limpar comes back in on the left, and Nigel Clough comes in to start ahead of Zavarov, who 33 years of age, struggles to play every 3 days, which is why we brought in that extra quality in midfield. So Nigel Clough gets a start against Galatasaray at Highbury tonight. And it was another 1-0 to the Arsenal at Highbury. A fantastic way to start our Champions League campaign. 3 points at home against a really tough Galatasaray team who had a really good team in Europe at this point. Martin Keown stepping up to get the winner on the 28th minute with a powerful header from an Anders Limpar corner. Galatasaray defended really well in the match. We had the majority of the possession, but they managed to hold firm. And in the end, it took Keown from a corner to get that winning goal and give us a fantastic winning start to our Champions League campaign. And the big games just keep coming, as at the weekend we head to Blackburn Rovers to play at Ewood Park. Blackburn Rovers in 1994, funded by Jack Walker. We've already talked about in this save, their financial power. They beat us to Gary McAllister in the summer. Blackburn have a lot of money to spend. They've got a really strong team on this game, finished above us last season, and we head to Ewood Park in probably the biggest test so far of our 100% record in the Premier League. And it was a game that brought our first defeat of the season, 1-0, lost to Blackburn at Ewood Park. And that man, Alan Shearer, just as you knew it would be, fantastic player in this era, pops up with the winning goal for Blackburn with 15 minutes to go. It was a really tight game. Both teams had chances to win. We had a goal disallowed offside from Les Ferdinand. I think Blackburn hit the woodwork a couple of times. But in the end, it was Blackburn who made the home advantage count. They, inflicted their first defeat of the season upon us. So a disappointing result. But there was certainly no time to feel sorry for ourselves after that defeat, as just days later we head out to Spain, a Champions League match away in the Nou Camp against Barcelona. What an event this is going to be. No time to feel sorry for ourselves. We need to try and go to one of the best teams in the world, one of the best stadiums in the world, and try and get a result in our second Champions League group game and build on that first win that we got against Galatasaray last week. So let's see how we bounce back in the Nou Camp. And what a Barcelona team this is. I mean, look up front. Stoichkov, Romario. In midfield, you've got a young Pep Guardiola, Brian Laudrup. Unbelievable Barcelona team we're facing here. And this is going to be, a really, really big challenge to go to the Nou Camp and try and compete with this level of team and players. And at half-time, we're doing really, really well. We're really competing. We've had more shots on goal. We've had more passes completed. At the moment, 45 minutes in, we're coming to the Nou Camp and we're doing really well. And what a dramatic second half. Barcelona really stepped it up and took the lead just after the hour mark. All looked lost as Arsenal kind of hung in and tried to get back in the game. And with a historic goal, Les Ferdinand pops up in stoppage time to give Arsenal a 1-1 draw at the Nou Camp, 4 points out of 6 in the 2 Champions League games so far. And what a result for Arsenal to come to the Nou Camp and go home with a point. And then we welcomed Sheffield Wednesday to Highbury. After a fantastic result in midweek in the Nou Camp, we had to come back and get back on track in the Premier League after a defeat to Blackburn Rovers last weekend. And we did that with a 2-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday at Highbury. Nigel Winterburn breaking the deadlock on the hour mark. And then the game sealed by Ian Wright in stoppage time to give Arsenal all 3 points. And here's the winner by Ian Wright in stoppage time to send Highbury into raptures. Tossing and turning, great finish by Ian Wright to give Arsenal the lead. Some transfer news come a day later as David Hillier left the club on a free transfer to join Portsmouth. David Hillier has never really been part of my plan since I joined the club. We've been trying to move him on. Finally, we've got a bid that's come in. It's a free transfer. He's out of contract at the end of the season anyway. So David Hillier moves to Portsmouth and gets a bit of money off the wage bill. Next up, Dynamo Kiev visited Highbury in our third game of our Champions League group stage. And this was not a comfortable night. As you can see, when Andrei Shevchenko, as a young up-and-coming striker in the Dynamo Kiev team, you can see what a good player he already is. We played really well. We were kind of in control of the match at 2-0 and then 3-1. But Dynamo Kiev had some really good attacking talent, kept coming back into the match. But in the end, we managed to get the 3 points. Nigel Clough with his first goal for the club. Alan Smith, who started, continuing his really good scoring run in Europe with us during this save. And Ian Wright adding that all-important third goal, which ensures that we've took 7 points out of 9 in our first 3 Champions League group games. And here was that all-important goal from Ian Wright, the third goal that gave Arsenal the victory. Great finish by Wrighty. It's always good as well to look at how the young Gunners are doing. And as you can see here, the 2-0 victory for the Arsenal reserves against Everton. You can see some, Ben Thatcher, who we signed in November last year from Millwall, an 18-year-old player who can play defensive centre or defensive left-back. So he's having a fantastic game here. 15-year-old Rio Ferdinand, who we bought in from West Ham in the summer. Playing against older players here and doing really well, putting in a 7 performance. And also we've got some really talented players. Obviously Adrian Clark, who man of the match in this game, who played quite a few games for the first team last season and made an impact. And also we've got a really exciting young striker in Isaiah Rankin there, who's 16 years old, who looks very, very promising for the future. And obviously you can see Carsten Fredgaard, who we signed in the summer, has also had a really good start playing in the reserve team. And hopefully we'll get some opportunities at some point this season, although he's a very young player. And we've drawn Shrewsbury away, Shrewsbury Town, in the third round of the League Cup. So that game also might provide an opportunity for some of the players on the fringes of squad to get some game time, which would be much needed. So that's a decent draw for us in the third round, which means that we can kind of experiment with the team a little bit, give some players who haven't played as much an opportunity. Because with the Champions League and Premier League, there's not much wriggle room in terms of disturbing that quality of the starting lineup. So hopefully some of those players we just talked about will get an opportunity in this game, which will be played in at the beginning of November. And another fantastic result in the Premier League was to follow, going away to Goodison Park, always a tough place to go to, and Les Ferdinand popping up with the only goal of the game as Arsenal got a classic 1-0 to the Arsenal victory. And here you see the great goal by Ferdinand that gave Arsenal the 3 points. He backs up the Everton defender and slots the ball into the far corner. So after 6 matches, Arsenal sit top of the Premier League. That one defeat away at Blackburn, the only blemish on their record. I think really impressive so far is the fact that in the 6 games that we've played, we've played 2 London derbies away from home against West Ham and Chelsea. We've played Manchester United and Blackburn, and also played Sheffield Wednesday and Everton as well. We've only conceded 1 goal, and we've managed to get 15 points out of our first 6 games in the Premier League. It's been a fantastic start to the season for Arsenal. We couldn't have asked for much better, really, whether domestically in the Premier League or in the Champions League in Europe. So another really good episode, a really, really strong start to the 94-95 season, which we was hoping for. We look forward to the next episode where we continue to try and build on our fantastic start in the Premier League, try to secure that qualification from our Champions League group after 7 points from our first 3 matches, which has been fantastic, especially that away point in the Nou Camp. So Highbury's very happy at the moment, and let's hope that continues in the next episode. Really hope you've enjoyed watching this, and catch you soon.